We arrive to the midway point of the 2025 FIM Women's Circuit Racing World Championship with race 2 of the Prosecco DOC UK round. Round 3 brings us to Donington Park, the oldest motorsport circuit still in operation in the United Kingdom, having opened in 1931, and the historic home of production-based motorcycle racing in the United Kingdom. Hello once again from Donington Park and welcome back to the FIM Women's Circuit Racing World Championship. Race 1 on Saturday provided us with one of, if not the most exciting race in the series' short history. A 4-rider fight to the flag ended with Maria Herrera picking up her 3rd win of the campaign after a late misstep from Beatriz Naylor and a new rider on the World WCR rostrum in the form of Great Britain's Chloe Jones. 5 races into this 12-race campaign, race 2 today should continue to provide entertainment, but could also provide to be crucial in the context of the Championship Challenge, with Herrera now opening an 18-point lead over her most immediate pursuer. Andy Nelson and Steve English live trackside to talk you through this 12-lap race today. Steve, it's quite overcast today, but similar conditions all around to what we had yesterday. It'd be very, very positive indeed if we have quite a similar race.
Yeah, it looks like it's a lot cooler today. It's still 21 degrees out, so we're still in the middle of the heat wave, but it is a lot more pleasant for the riders and a little bit easier time for them compared to just how difficult yesterday was. I spoke to a few of the riders and they did say they were a little bit surprised at how physical it was just because of the hot conditions. 12 laps of action here in around about 30-degree heat yesterday was tough for the riders.
Yeah, we had quite a few riders dropping up and down the order as the race progressed. 12 laps around Donington Park don't seem like a lot. It's one of the shortest races on the calendar, one of the shortest circuits on the calendar, but in these sort of conditions it provides to be a lot more demanding than in past seasons. So we will do our walk through the grid now. You're just getting a glimpse of Maria Herrera, who picked up her 3rd win of the 2025 campaign yesterday. She still is yet to do the double since the Misano around the opening round of the 2024 season. But here we go through the grid, starting with Beatriz Naylor. She starts again from pole after setting the fastest lap of race 1 on the last lap of race 1. She was 0.6 of a second faster than Herrera on that final lap, but unfortunately for her, it was a mistake on the penultimate lap, which really meant that she couldn't contend for the race win.
Yeah, I think that Naylor looked really strong. Obviously, Chloe Jones as well. They ended up almost coming together into turn 4 in the last lap. Without that, I think both of them would have had the chance to win the race.
This is Sarah Sanchez, second on the grid. It's now 3 consecutive races that she has been off the rostrum. That is a worst streak in the World WCR class. She was also in that group contending for the race lead, but unfortunately was the biggest loser of those final few laps.
Yeah, another top 5 finish, good points on the board, and for her, she just keeps closing in on Ponziani in 3rd in the standings.
On the front row of the grid for the first time in World WCI, it was a star-making performance from Chloe Jones yesterday in race 1. She had knocked on the door of the top 5 since arriving in the class at the final round of 2024, but hadn't quite been able to put it all in order over a full race. She becomes a 7th rider to climb onto the World WCR rostrum.
Yeah, how can you not be a fan of Chloe on the basis of what she's been able to do since she came in here? Only her 4th round. All the time she fights in that 6th, 7th, 8th position battle. Yesterday she made a step forward, and it's not just the home round factor. She's always been in that group that's been close to the pace of the front.
She will be one of the riders that this rider has to keep an eye on. Maria Herrera, 2nd row of the grid. She has now won 9 of her 17 World WCR races, but none of them have been more than 0.6 of a second. She did struggle a bit with a braking issue at turn 1 at one point, and it was a lot tougher for the number 6 than perhaps she might have anticipated.
Yeah, I think that Maria this year, we've been able to see, obviously, she's won 3 races, she's finished 2nd in 2 races, she leads the standings by 18 points, but she's been challenged, and it's been a very different season, and she's been much more relaxed. The fact that she's not racing against her arch rival Anna Carrasco has allowed her character to come out a lot more, and Maria's looked comfortable, she's looked happy, and she's riding well, but she also knows that in a one-make series like this, you're going to have battles. Beatriz Naylor has made a big step forward this year to be able to fight with her. Chloe Jones did it yesterday, and you'd expect them all to scrap it out at the front again today.
It'll only be the 3rd time in 18 races that Herrera starts off the first row of the grid. Alongside her, Lucy Budasol, with her her first top 5 finish in World WCR yesterday. She has finished inside the top 10 in her last 4 races now in World WCR, but finishing 4 seconds adrift of the race leaders yesterday, that was by far her best showing in the class so far. Alongside her and closing out that second row of the grid is Roberta Ponziani. She had a bit of a tough challenge ahead of her in race 1, started from the back of the grid due to a disqualification from the Superpole session. She ended up finishing P10. This was where she would have started in P6 had she not been disqualified yesterday from the day before from Superpole. Starting the third row of the grid, Ornella Ongaro from France. This is the first time she starts from 7th in the World WCR class. Her previous best grid position was 8th, and 8th in yesterday's race 1 was also her best result since the 2024 Portuguese round. Alongside her on that third round of the grid will be Natalia Rivera. This is also her best grid slot in her rookie campaign, just 18 years old, the Spaniard. And alongside her, Paquita Ruiz as well on the third row of the grid. Fourth row is for Jessica Howden, Taylor Ralph and Avalon Lewis. With the fifth row, Astrid Madrigal, Lucy Michel and the wild card Denise Dal Zotto from Italy. So all ready to start racing again here in Donington Park. It's time for race 2. In 12 laps time, 50% of the 2025 FIM Women's Circuit Racing World Championship will have been completed. So far, the first 5 races have given us new race winners, new podium finishers, 5 tight race finishes, and a championship which is still wide open. But today's 48.2 kilometres around this Donington Park circuit will be crucial in determining where the momentum lies going into the second half of the campaign. A first double for Maria Herrera since the 2024 Mizano round would leave her with at least a 23-point lead in the standings, leaving an uphill battle for the riders like Beatriz Naylor and all of her most immediate pursuers. Any other result would add pressure on the number 6 going into Balloton in 2 weeks' time. Anthony Nelson and Steve English live trackside for race 2 of this Prosecco DOC UK round. And Steve, for the number 6 in particular, starting from the second row of the grid, it'll be important to get the front and important to try to break away, which is what she was unable to do yesterday. Yeah,
Donington's a place where you can break away. Think back to last year, Maria and Anna Carrasco had basically a race 2 battle just for themselves. They were 12 seconds clear of the field for quite a bit of the race. That could be the case today as well, but certainly what we saw yesterday was Chloe Jones on the number 15 bike, the orange bike. She's going to have a chance to be able to go with them at the front. Sarah Sanchez looks in good form. Beatrice Naylor, though, our pole sitter for this one, courtesy of her fastest lap in yesterday's race, she's going to be a contender all the way through as well. You'd expect those 4 riders to have a chance. And Lucy Boudicelle on the number 17 machine as well from the middle of the second row of the grid. She'll be there or thereabouts. Roberta Ponziani is up there in the second row, having started from the back yesterday, so we'll see a little bit more representative times from her early in the race, and she could be a factor too.
Ponziani is perhaps the biggest question mark because, of course, starting from 25th on the grid yesterday, it was always going to be an uphill battle for her going into that race, and she ended up finishing P10, but we don't really know quite what pace the Italian rider has here. She would be the big factor for Herrera to be able to contend with as well, and she is the one rider who could be able to help her get in between some of Herrera's main championship contenders.
Yeah, exactly, and if you've got 6 riders in that group, Boudicelle has to make a step forward to be able to go with them, but she's up there in terms of the early laps to be able to give that chance. She's likely to be in that second group with the likes of Ralph and Howden. Howden actually had a really good performance yesterday on the number 52 machine to come away with a top 10 finish in 7th position. But for that second group, that's the battle they have. The lead group is about trying to get yourself and stay in that group. That's what Chloe Jones did really well yesterday. And then she wasn't willing to settle for being in that lead group. She wanted to make sure she had a chance to win. And I thought it was a super impressive performance from Chloe. She needs to back it up now.
It was extraordinarily impressive from herself. And I'm sure Maria Herrera as well, when she saw the number 15 in front of her, probably did catch her attention, particularly how she was in that second sector of the track, which was where the number 15 was gaining a lot of her advantage. Championship standards, Herrera with an 18-point lead going into this race 2. Battle for third in a championship. Sanchez yesterday coming into 6 points within Ponziani. So the green flag is out at the back of the field. The lights will turn on in a few seconds' time. Here it is, lights on at Donington Park. Race 2 of the FIM Circuit Racing World Championship is on at Donington Park, and that was a terrible start there from the middle of the front row of the grid for Sara Sanchez. She will drop all the way down to fourth. It was a fantastic start from Maria Herrera from the second row of the grid. She moves up into first ahead of Beatriz Neyla. Chloe Jones remaining in third, and Roberta Ponziani also gaining one position ahead of Lucy Budasol. She is now into fifth position as we go through the second sector of the Donington Park circuit.
Yeah, we can see in that lead group Maria Herrera leading the way, and good job to come from that second row of the grid. She just got off the lights great. We saw Sara Sanchez very slow off the line. Chloe Jones did a decent job at the start, but she's in position now to attack that orange bike in third position. She won't be in third for long. She will try and come through in Beatriz Neyla.
Poor start from Sanchez, but she is tagged to the back of Chloe Jones's bike, and they will try to avoid Maria Herrera breaking away. But the number 6 has made a fantastic start here for race 2. She did a good start as well in race 1 yesterday. Beatriz Neyla perhaps potentially caught by surprise by the number 6. We'll see if she makes her first move into the foggy S. She might be a little bit far back. And the number 36 remains in second position. Sara Sanchez has a look down the inside, nearly catches the back of Chloe Jones's bike, but she remains in fourth position. Further down the field, a bit of a poor start for Ornella Ongaro and Natalia Rivera from the second row, from the third row of the grid. They're down into 9th and 10th position.
This is what we saw yesterday as well. At the end of the first lap, we had a big group of riders, but they immediately started to split once we got to the Craner curves on lap 2. Let's see if the riders in that second group behind Sara Sanchez, the likes of Bodasal on the number 17 bike, if they're able to stick with the leaders a little bit longer today.
Shout out to Evelyn Lewis as well. She's starting at the back of the fourth row of the grid. She is up into 7th position, just ahead of Jessica Howden now. So first lap of race 2 completed. Is Herrera who lead from Neyla, from Jones and from Sanchez. Just a second splitting those 4 riders. Jessica Howden tries to make a move into 6th position, 7th position ahead of Evelyn Lewis, but the rider from New Zealand holds on.
Good to see this from Howden as well. She's always been fast in the WCR, but obviously a lot of crashes over the last few years. But the speed is there, and now she's got a chance to come away with 2 top 7 finishes. That would be a really good weekend.
She had her best result of the season so far. It was the only top 10 finish of the season for the rider from South Africa. Always a rider who's a bit spotty in terms of her performances. A lot of ups and downs from her, but she's clearly got the pace here today. We focus on that battle just behind, between 9th and 10th, between Ornella Ongaro and Natalia Rivera. It would be the first top 10 finish for Rivera if she finished in this position. I saw Neyla trying to make a move up the inside at Kloppis from Herrera, but Herrera holds on, and this is the point of the track where the number 6 is particularly strong, or we've seen her be particularly strong all weekend. This was actually where she made the move for the race lead in race 1 yesterday. They go through the foggy S's once again. Ponziani and Budasol falling back ever so slightly in that battle for 5th position. Roberta Ponziani potentially being held up a little bit. She would need to get past the French rider as soon as possible to be able to contend with this leading quartet.
Yeah, for Ponziani on the 96 machine, teammate to Maria Herrera at the front, she probably has a bike that can overtake the rider in 5th. Lucy Budasal being faster than her all weekend in terms of her outright speed, so Budasal doing a good job to hold on to that 5th position.
Evelyn Lewis drops 2 positions in this last sector to Jessica Howden and to Ornella Ongaro. She hadn't been feeling well all weekend, but has managed to be up and racing for both races so far in the United Kingdom. So the rider from New Zealand, the number 21 on your screen right now, down into 9th position. Fastest lap of the race for Sara Sanchez in 4th place. It's quite often we see the rider in 4th place have the fastest pace amongst the leading group. It's the one thing to have that pace when you've got a little bit of a gap in front of you. It's another thing to be able to contend and to be able to break away. That's what Herrera right now at the front of the field is not being able to do.
Yeah, Herrera at the front, just being kept very honest at this stage, and good to be able to see that. Obviously Beatriz Neyla this year has been really strong and consistent in every race, but Chloe Jones just keeping that watching brief. Sara Sanchez, after the bad start, she's consolidated things, keeping herself in that 4th position, but right now everybody looks like they could attack and try and move to the front of the field. Beatriz Neyla in particular in that first half of the lap has done a good job.
Could it also be in Herrera's interest to slow down the race a little bit more and bring some more riders into contention, particularly to battle with Neyla, because it still is a pretty small gap in a championship. Obviously it's a threat to Herrera herself to have more riders in contention there, but for example her teammate Roberta Ponziani, who's trying to close that gap, bridge that gap to the riders in front, the more riders who can be in there, the more they can challenge Neyla, as they did in race 1 yesterday.
In theory, but for Ponziani and Budasal, are they fast enough to bridge that gap and be involved? And maybe they are if the pace slows down enough, but certainly for Herrera, she's got 4 bikes up there in that lead group. focus on that, because we've seen her outfox herself a few times trying to be tactical.
Another fastest lap from Sarah Sanchez, 1:39.3, but all of that leading quartet in similar lap times. I think there might have been a mistake from Jessica Howden towards the Melbourne hairpin, because she has dropped from 7th position all the way down to 10th. Ornella Ongaro, the French rider, now promoted into 7th, with Lewis and Reith ahead of the rider from South Africa, the number 52. We go back to our leading quartet here, still keeping their powder dry. We focus on Sarah Sanchez, who is at the pace the last 2 laps. Very close battle behind between Roberta Ponziani and Lucy Boutessel. Lucy Boutessel looking threatening, the number 17, as we go through this second sector of the track, going around McLean's. And Chloe Jones has moved into 2nd position ahead of Beatrice Naylor. That would have been that run down Starkeys and into McLean's. I wonder if we'll get a replay of that. But Chloe Jones, the number 15, now into 2nd position.
Let's see if Beatrice is able to attack back into the S's or down into the loop. You can see here for the 96 of Ponziani, when she came through last time and she cut across on top of Boutessel and then tapped the tail unit coming through the S's to tell her, stick with me and we'll make our progress. And for Boutessel, she's done that up to now, but is the progress actually being made to be able to close up on those race leaders? They've already lost half a second on this lap.
Sarah Sanchez, every time we go into the foggy S's, she seems to be looking to be able to make a move down on the rider in front, but doesn't quite make any time. This is a move from Chloe Jones into 2nd.
Just able to hold that tight line into McLean's. She's very good on the run in towards turn 7. Part of that is set up through turn 5, where she's a little bit more upright, trying to run across the inside to straight line that corner rather than being on the edge of the tyre, and it sets up the moves into 7. She did that yesterday a few times.
Jones 0.2 of a second faster than Herrera on that lap. She is the only rider who's remained in a 1:39.4.
You can see from Chloe as well on the run into turn 1, she is always wider on the entry than everyone else. She's trying to open up that corner to give her that chance. For her, she's focusing on what she needs to do. She knows this track well. There's a few places where your nuance really does matter. She's very fast down through Hollywood and into Craner curves. A lot of the other riders have said that when they've followed her through there, they've really wanted to see what her data was saying.
And she carries all that momentum through this 2nd sector, and she is looking very threatening indeed now. Can she get up the inside on Herrera and take the race lead as she did for 2nd over Naylor the lap prior? She didn't, but she's getting a good run through there and will look to make it the next lap, because this is where Herrera now is at her strength. That right-hander around Coppice and onto the back straight is where the number 6 has been gaining an advantage all throughout this weekend. Started from free practice. We focus on the battle for 5th now, Ponziani and Boutessel. Ponziani has edged out a 1/10 of a second over the number 17 behind, but they are still riding slower than the riders in front by around the tune of around about half a second per lap.
Yeah, let's see what Herrera is like in the entry down in towards the Melbourne Loop. Obviously, we saw her have her braking issues yesterday. Everyone's a little bit late
another
there.
One. Herrera late going into the Melbourne hairpin, and she's going to drop all the way down to 3rd. And Chloe Jones, for the very first time, leads a World WCR race. Herrera will try to make a move up the inside of turn 12 on Beatrice Naylor. She's very late there. I don't think Naylor was expecting that, but Herrera moves into 2nd.
Off the pegs moment there for Jones as well at the front, just as she turned into Goddard. Goddard's off camber, very easy to do that. And Chloe Jones, as you said, Anthony, leading a race for the first time.
That's fantastic from Chloe Jones, and now this is the part of the track where she can try and edge out a bit of advantage. It will also give information, though, to Maria Herrera behind the Brit to see how she does in this first opening sector, which is where she is at her fastest. But Chloe Jones from Great Britain leading ahead of Herrera, leading ahead of Naylor, who I think was caught by surprise by that move into turn 12 from her championship contender. Actually, Naylor's dropped back into 4th position behind Sarah Sanchez now. We didn't see that move, and Chloe Jones coming under pressure from the number 6 now.
Yeah, and Jones, you can see there, able to carry the speed into McLean's, doesn't leave a door open. We'll see what she can do with the pressure of Maria Herrera behind her. And Herrera, we know that Herrera likes to lead from the front. She wants to be able to dictate the pace, but Chloe Jones looks like she's ready to do that as well and comfortable out at the front.
But is very close now, and this is where you'd expect her to attack, although Sarah Sanchez from 3rd may contend, and Sarah Sanchez moving into 2nd. She is quite close enough to go against Chloe Jones, but that's what she does every single lap. She takes that inside line. It's very, very late to make the turn.
I love it from Chloe, though, in front on the 15 bike. She just sweeps across the front of Sarah Sanchez
and
to hold on through the S's. In a bit too hot into the Melbourne Loop, and Sarah Sanchez will come through, but Chloe is willing to get the gloves off and really just go bar to bar with everyone, and it's good to see.
Sarah Sanchez, fourth at the start of lap 6. She leads now the number 64 for the first time this weekend as well. Fourth in a championship. Well, different lines from all the 4 riders in the lead there. And actually the group of Budasol and Ponziani have managed to take back around about half a second on this lap. It's still at 1.5 seconds between Naila in 4th and Budasol in 5th. Further back down the field, we've got yellow flags out at the final corner. I think that was Avalon Lewis who's going down to number 21. Yes, it is her. She has crashed from that group that was fighting for 7th position. Good to see that she is okay, but that is her race over. Focus on number 20. We'll get a replay of that. This should be quite early.
Yeah, I've just losing it there through Goddard's, and you can see that quite a bit in Goddard's. If you're on that tighter line, you do tend to see it where the track falls away and the riders get caught out. So it's a shame for Avalon. First time she's been back here in a few years, and it's been a tougher weekend than the opening couple of rounds were.
I wonder if something has happened in this lap in the leading group, because a few gaps now developing amongst the riders. Herrera's in second. It's 0.3 of a second to Sanchez, and Naila's dropped half a second. Chloe Jones has dropped all the way down to 4th, so I feel like we might have missed something. But that has brought Budasol within less than a second of this group, and I wonder exactly where that was, because it was around about 1.5 seconds as we crossed the finish line. 1.9 seconds actually. It's dropped a full second this lap. Meanwhile, Herrera tries to make a move into the Melbourne hairpin, stops the bike, moves Sanchez out of the way, and she moves back into the lead of this race for the first time in a couple of laps.
Yeah, for Chloe Jones, she lost a lot of time in sector 2, so that's the run from the old hairpin up towards Coppice. So maybe got attacked on the run through the old hairpin and just caused her that momentum. But as you said, it's brought Budasol back into it. The gap had been under a second. They pulled it out by another 1/4 of a second in the last sector. We'll see what it is as they come across the line. Budasol with her fastest lap of the race, and she's the 2nd fastest rider on track.
Fastest rider is Maria Herrera with a 39.4 on the last lap. That's more similar to what we had in the first laps of this race. And the number 6 now starting to push and see if she can break away. The last couple of laps she has come under attack from a few of the riders behind. Look at Sarah Sanchez. Well, that was aggressive to Sarah Sanchez, but I think Maria Herrera also may have made a bit of a mistake there. She went very wide going into the old hairpin.
It's just the speed you carry down through Craner curves, and if you're able to put yourself in that position to attack into 4, you will have that speed and be alongside another rider. And Sanchez, she's done a good job in the last few laps. Any chance she's had to try and make a move, she has done it, whether it was down into the S's, whether it's into the loop or into turn 4 in this lap.
You mentioned that Herrera is a little bit more relaxed now that she doesn't have her arch nemesis Nana Carrasco in the field, but I think Sarah Sanchez is a close second after the incidents that they had last year. She won't be happy to see anybody ahead of Herrera, but she'll be even less happy to see the number 64 taking the lead of this race. But that's Beatriz Naila, who moves around the outside of Herrera into 2nd position. Beatriz Naila also starting to look aggressive at this stage of the race. It's only 5 laps. There's some 5 laps to go for race 2 here at Donington Park. Chloe Jones as well pushed to the outside from Herrera. Oh, Sarah Sanchez went in very, very deep into the Melbourne hairpin. It's all going on now. She does retake the lead of this race, but a lot of different lines around there, and a lot of the riders starting to struggle, particularly into the Melbourne hairpin. That's where we're seeing a lot of the mistakes so far in this race. And Lucy Budasol now is at less than half a second behind these riders. So this 4-rider group has now become a 6-rider group for the final stage of this race. Naila on the attack into Redgate, and she moves up into 1st ahead of Sarah Sanchez.
Yeah, we haven't seen too many moves into Redgate on the WCR bikes, but good move from Naila to hit the front, and we're just past 2/3 race distance, so always important to get to this stage of the race. And then you know that if there is an incident, it will be full points awarded. That's why everyone's trying to attack now. Sanchez is able to make that move into the old hairpin just like a lap ago.
Oh, it's all going on now. Look at Chloe Jones trying to get around the outside of Herrera. Herrera out of shape, Naila out of shape, everybody out of shape in this group now. The last lap, Budasol and Ponziani posted their best laps of the race. They are firmly part of this group now. It'll be interesting to see what they can do, because it's one thing to be able to up your pace and maintain your pace in this class. It's another thing to be able to make the moves. And looking at these riders, it's going to be extraordinarily difficult to find the space.
And that's where Budasol on the 17 is quite interesting, because she qualified on the 5th row of the grid for the first 2 rounds. She's qualified 5th for this round, and she's had that speed all weekend.
And she is the one rider who hasn't been in this position so far. The number 17, she got a first top 5 finish yesterday, but was 4 seconds adrift of the leading pack. Now she is firmly part of it with just 4 laps to go. We go down once again into the Melbourne hairpin. A lot of riders have gone deep in different laps. So many different lines here. And Budasol moves into 4th ahead of Chloe Jones. For the first time, she's inside the top 4 in this race.
You can see those wide lines because they're trying to square it off and give themselves the exit, but they just leave the door open then as well. And it's always tricky in a class like this as well. The low power and everyone being on the same bike means that you're trying to find different ways to be able to use your racecraft. You're also trying to use these as a little bit of a sighting for what you'll do on the last lap.
Herrera had a look behind her, and now Beatriz Naylor has looked down the inside of Sarah Sanchez. Can she reclaim the lead? Sarah Sanchez might have the inside line. No, she doesn't. Beatriz Naylor in the lead of this race once again. They're starting to edge out a gap, these 3 riders, to the riders behind them. I was saying that Herrera had a little look behind, I think, to see which riders she might have had in this group. She wasn't expected 6. Sarah Sanchez very, very deep into the old hairpin. She made that move on Herrera a couple of laps ago. She couldn't get it done here, and Beatriz Naylor now with the advantage coming around the 10th lap of this race 2 at Donington Park.
Yeah, 2.5 laps to go. Chloe Jones moves her way up into 4th spot now as well. This is when you have to make your moves, because when you get down to those last 2 laps, you're down to 8 kilometres, you're down to 24 corners, you're down to the last chance saloon very quickly. So you've got to get yourself in a position now to be in those top 3 spots. Chloe's got a bit of ground to make up over Maria Herrera in front of her now as well.
And she could see that Leon trio starting to edge that gap and get away. Sarah Sanchez into the foggy S's once again. She moves into the lead. Beatriz Naylor picked to the back of her bike, Maria Herrera as well. Chloe Jones still in 4th position, trying to close that gap, and all the different lines going to Melbourne hairpin. Sarah Sanchez remains in 1st position. Chloe Jones deep into turn 11, and she moves up into 3rd.
All of this is important for the championship right now. Naylor's done a good job of running up inside those top 2 positions for most of the second half of this race as Herrera attacks down into Goddard's to get back up into 3rd. But at the back of the group, Roberto Ponziani's made no impression on anyone really at any stage in this. This is an opportunity for Sanchez to take control of that battle for 3rd in the championship, and Sanchez leading with 2 laps to go.
It does seem like Ponziani has the pace, but she isn't quite able to move close enough, as is Lucy Budasol. They have remained at the back of that group. By the way, Sanchez taking a more defensive line there against Naylor. She'd been attacked by the number 36 last couple of laps. This time she remains in 1st, going through this first sector of Donington Park.
Yeah, trying to be a little bit different on the line down through Craner, but it's all about just being flat out through that section on these bikes and carrying that speed, and that's what we're seeing there from the 15 of Chloe Jones, trying to roll the outside line, and we'll see if she's able to attack into 7.
So aggressive from Chloe Jones, but she's just a little bit too far away to be able to attack Maria Herrera. This is where the number 6 will expect to be at her best. We've lost Jessica Howden. That was at turn 1 for the number 52. Good to see her on that feet. We'll get a replay of that now.
Just tucking the front through there. So Howden had been running up inside the top 8. It's been a good weekend for her. It's just a shame it ends with another crash.
Onto the back straight for the penultimate time this weekend. Beatriz Naylor trying to attack around the outside of Sarah Sanchez. Can the number 64 go in deep? No, she doesn't. And Beatriz Naylor reclaims the lead of this race with just 1 lap and 2 turns remaining. Down into the Melbourne hairpin for the penultimate time. A lot of moves so far in this race here. No changes to the order at this on this lap. They're keeping their powder dry for the final lap.
Yeah, and on that final lap, will there be yellow flags out at right gate? Does that take away one of the overtaking opportunities? Turn 4 is obviously going to be your key chance for Sarah Sanchez. That's where we've seen her make her moves.
The yellow flags have gone, so they will be free to battle going to turn 1. Beatriz Naylor has actually opened a little bit of a lead. She's just set the fastest lap of this race to number 36. She is pushing in on this final lap. She's got half a second between herself and Sanchez. Obviously, it's this final sector of this lap, which is important, but the number 36 looking odds-on favourite now to take the win at Donington Park.
Yeah, and for Sarah Sanchez in 2nd spot, is she going to be under attack from Maria Herrera on the run into the old hairpin? She's not. This is where it's important for Sanchez to have a good run through here. But that's a big lead now that Beatriz Naylor has.
Yeah, and Maria Herrera can see Naylor going ahead in the distance, but she has to be careful with Chloe Jones behind her, because the number 15 is also looking aggressive through this section of the track. The positions remain stable going to the second half of the final lap.
It's a really good sector, though, from Sarah Sanchez on the 64. She's closed up that gap. We know that she's willing to try and be late on the brakes. Is that down in towards the S's or into the hairpin?
Going onto the back straight for the final time and into the foggy S's. Naila leads. Can Sarah Sanchez have a look down the inside? This is where she made a move a couple of laps ago. She's going in deep, 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 and she does get it done. Can Beatriz Naila get the cut back? No, she can't. Maria Herrera close to both the riders now. Will she make a dive bomb into the penultimate corner of the race? She doesn't, and it's Chloe Jones who actually moves up the inside of Maria Herrera. Herrera bumps into Chloe Jones, and number 15 is down from third position. Beatriz Naila takes the lead of this race going into the final corner. Will Sarah Sanchez have a look? No, she doesn't. Beatriz Naila will win this race with Sarah Sanchez in second, and Herrera will hold on for third. It is Beatriz Naila for the first time since Assen on the top step of the rostrum. Sarah Sanchez in second, Maria Herrera after that contact with Chloe Jones into third position. I'm sure the stewards will have a look at that, but such an unfortunate end to the weekend for the number 15, and it's Lucy Budasol and Roberta Ponziani, after all that going on, who close out our top 5.
Chloe's got herself rejoined. She's just in front of Mal Dobbs there as she comes across the line. So it's P11 there for Chloe, and there'll be frustration in that. That's one of those situations you're trying to make your move down the inside into the loop, and contact happens on the exit. There's 2 lines into one. Have a look at the 15. She's in a little bit deep trying to make the move, and then there's just contact there, and fairly typical incident really, and just one of those things everyone's trying to fight for their podium position.
Yeah, I was just trying to keep her position. Chloe Jones was the rider who had made a move down the inside, but just such an unfortunate end for the number 15 after all that she'd done this weekend, after the podium that she had yesterday. Just not the way you want to end your home race, but the experience that she'll have had from this weekend will be immensely valuable in the rounds that we have going on. I'm sure it's not what's on her mind now, but just being able to be in those sort of positions was a positive in itself. But unfortunately, she finishes with an 11th place finish after being able to remount. For Naila, though, this was what she needed to do today, and this is absolutely massive in the context of the championship, because the gap between Herrera and Naila has dropped from 18 points all the way down to 9, and this is the closest that she has been. She came into this weekend with a 13 points deficit, Naila, to Herrera. She's cut that by 4, and this was exactly what we needed to see from her at this stage of the season.
Yeah, and for Naila, it's important to be able to put down that marker as well to Maria Herrera, and just make sure that she knows that you're going to have to fight for the second half of the season. And Balaton in a couple of weeks' time, and new circuit for everyone, and then Magny Corr and Horet to finish off the season. So it's going to be really important next time out to be able to build on this. Naila needs to go out and win races there. Chloe Jones, unfortunate in this one, but she needs to challenge in that front group next time out as well.
Yeah, she's waving to the fans, but she seemed absolutely devastated going down the back straight there, and naturally so. A word on another rookie, Lucy Budasol, because with all that going on, we didn't mention so much, but it is her best finish in World WCR, and she was just 1/10 of a second off of claiming her first podium in the class. It's been an incredible weekend for herself as well, and a huge, huge step. She moves up to 8th in the championship standings from 10, and another rider we'll have to keep an eye on in the upcoming rounds, because this is from Jones. We'd seen a lot of positive pace in recent rounds, but not from Budasol necessarily.
Just holding the riders there in Park Ferme, or before they go to Park Ferme, until the results are confirmed, and I didn't see anything on that last lap that would deem inappropriate, whether it was exceeding limits or the incident with Herrera in particular. There's nothing really where you'd imagine there's much to be said about those.
We have had a message on our timing screen saying that the podium has been confirmed. I don't think there was anything else going on further at the back of the field. There was no other incidents on that final lap that we could see, so we assume that these will be the results that stand. Meanwhile, Beatriz Naila absolutely elated there, the number 36. See if they let Maria Herrera come into the lane. Yes, she does. The rider who had been stopped there by some stewards down pit lane, but she is allowed into Park Ferme. Fortunate for her with all that going on, but she was in that sort of position going into the final lap. She wasn't leading the race as she she probably would have liked to do, and that leaves you vulnerable to attacks for the riders behind when it's such a big group.
Yeah, exactly, and I thought that Budasol on that last lap might have attacked her down into the last corner. It just wasn't quite close enough to put it down the inside there. Good to see Anna Carrasco down there as well, offering congratulations to Beatriz Naila, the race winner.
Yeah, I wonder if she might have been down there if it had been a different result, but I think I'll keep it at that. So Anna Carrasco obviously very happy for Beatriz Naila. They've gotten along well since last season, and Obviously, always good spirits within the World WCR Championship. So there we go, Beatriz Naylor. A wave which made the cameraman fall down, apparently. So here we go. Here are the final confirmed results from race 2. And with all that going on at the front, we didn't speak much about the riders in the battle behind, but it was Paquita Reith who finished in 6th position at the checkered flag, just ahead of Taylor Ralph. Good to see Taylor Ralph back in the top 10 after some of the issues that she had at the end of yesterday's race 1.
Yeah, Taylor had a few problems with the bike just surging for her. So for Ralph, after breaking a few bones in her hand a couple of weeks ago, important to be able to come away with decent finish there in 7th spot.
Also, Ornella Ongaro, Natalia Rivera and Astrid Madrigal completing the top 10. That will be a first top 10 finish for the number 20 in 9th. Rivera coming into the championship this season for the very first time. Another of our rookies, the youngest rider on this 2025 World WCR grid, and starting to make a lot of progress since the opening round. So another rider, the teammate to Sarah Sanchez, another rider to keep an eye on. And we haven't mentioned much about Sanchez with everything going on, but that is her first podium in 4 races. She breaks her worst podium-less streak in the World WCR class and moves up into 3rd in the championship, 3 points ahead of Ponziani. Ponziani, who we didn't really see all that much in the final stage of that race. She takes 5th, which is the best result of the weekend, but unfortunately she was never really in a position to attack the riders ahead of her.
Yeah, Roberto, of course, race winner in Cremona, finished that weekend with a 1-2. But this looked a little bit more reminiscent of what we saw from her last year, where she was close enough to get in the fight, but never really looked like laying the glove on anyone.
So we will prepare for the post-race interviews in short order. I can see Maria Herrera being taken over there. In a few seconds, we will hear from her and hear her talk about that race incident with Chloe Jones at the end of race 2. So Maria Herrera, 3rd in race 2 at Donington Park.
Maria, 3rd position and another podium. Tell us, how was your race and what happened in the last lap?
Yeah, it was a difficult race because a big group this time, so I didn't manage like I wanted. Sarah was close the lines many times, so it was a straight line for us. But I battled with Beatriz so well, and the last corner was difficult for me to manage the brake. I didn't have brake in all the race, so very difficult for me.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you.
Thanks to
Maria Herrera, again with those brake issues that she alluded to after yesterday's race win. It's a 3rd position for her now. She's had some issues in recent races, but still be able to be in that battle for 1st position. And she goes into the halfway point of the championship with a 9-point lead. So we got slow motion replay from the number 6 going around the final corner of Donington Park. Always one of the most spectacular slow motion shots that we have on the World WCR calendar. So we will hear now from 2nd position, Sarah Sanchez, back onto the rostrum at Donington Park.
Sarah, 2nd position, not a bad way to finish the weekend here in Donington.
Hello, thanks for all. Yes, I'm happy to be on the podium another time after the last race is not so good. So I would like to say thank you to my team for all the work, and we will try in the next one.
Well done. Congratulations.
yeah, well done indeed. Congratulations.
Great performance once again from Sarah Sanchez, and one of the most exciting riders in this race, looking at the moves that she made, particularly down into the foggy S's, a rider who was looking at that move throughout the first half of the race. She put it into practice towards the second half for the race win. Unfortunately, she couldn't contend for the race win, and she remains winless in this 2025 campaign so far. But good to see her back onto the rostrum, the number 64.
This is going to be quite a jubilant interview.
We will finally hear from our race winner in short order, Beatriz Naylor. That is her 2nd win this campaign, her 2nd win overall in World WCR, and she brings herself back into contention for the 2025 championship. Let's hear from her now.
Beatriz, what a race and what a win. Tell us, how was it?
Yeah, I'm super happy because the race was crazy, but finally I finished in P1. This P1 for me means a lot because I worked too much 2 months ago. So I'm super happy, and thank you everyone for supporting me. Mwah.
Enjoy it.
Thank you.
Great performance from Naila. If yesterday she lost the race win on the penultimate lap, I think it's fair to say that this time she won it on the penultimate lap. It was when she made the move into first, and it was when she made the fastest, when she set the fastest lap of this race, and that half a second advantage she had going into the final lap was really enough for her to be able to remain in first position.
Yeah, it was a great move to be able to take the race win, and when you look at Naila's season, obviously the penalty in the opening round of the year in Assen, that's the difference between leading the championship and being behind there. There's 9 points between Herrera and Naila. That was a 10-point swing. And for Beatrice, she's been really impressive, consistent all the way through this season. She's finished on the podium in every race for the first half of the year. She needs to make sure she wins more races in the second half of the year, but just keep doing what you're doing.
It probably isn't said enough, given that she was already a competitive performer in 2024, but the step forward made by Naila in this 25 campaign is quite impressive. She's gone for a rider who was always in that group but seemed to fall back in the latter stages of the race and wasn't able to fully contend from podiums, 4 podiums, to a rider who was able to contend for race wins every single race, and now is 7 races on the trot, counting last year's Jerez round for the Spaniards. So an impressive step forward.
That Jerez round was key for her. She went into the winter feeling confident. She's made a step forward. Last year the expectation was that this was the Beatrice Naila we were going to see. 4-time European champion. Everyone thought she was going to be ready from the get-go to be able to fight with Carrasco and Herrera. It took her time to build into the season. Now she's really shown just what she can do.
It's actually 8 consecutive podiums for Naila. She was on the roster for both of the races in Jerez in the final round of the 2024 season, so continuing that fantastic performance. It is the best podium streak in the class at the minute, so more celebration for her and that consistency which has really brought her in contention to the championship more than anything else. So we prepare for our podium celebrations, and they're onto the roster when we're ready. Sarah Sanchez, and we wait for the cheer for the number 36, Beatriz Naila. An all-Spanish podium once again in World WCR. Chloe Jones was on the rostrum yesterday, but we're back to the norm as it has been in the last year in World WCR. Of course, these 3 riders extraordinarily impressive since they all went into the class at the start of 2024.
And now the trophy.
Receiving those trophies from Stephen Newman from Pirelli. Pirelli, the sole provider for the World WCR class, as it is for the entirety of the World Superbike paddock.
World Championship points go to your race winner.
And ecstatic Naila receives her race winner's trophy. In a few seconds' time, we will hear the national anthem of our race to winner, Beatriz.
The national anthem of the winning rider, the national anthem of Spain.
So congratulations once again to our podium trio. The Prosecco DOC celebrations commence once again here at the Prosecco DOC UK round. Be careful, Maria, with our cameraman. They still have a couple of races more to work on in the next few hours here at the Donington Park circuit before World WCR. This is it now for the next 13 days until we go to Donington Park from the 25th to the 27th of July, round 4. We will see the final confirmed results of race 2 of the Prosecco DOC UK. So here they are, 1.3 seconds splitting the top 5, but it is Beatriz Naila at the top with a 3/10 of a second advantage over Sarah Sanchez. Further down the field, Reith, Relf, Ongaro, Rivera and Mastrogal complete the top 10. Chloe Jones eventually crossing the line in 11th position. Back into the point for Mallory Dobbs after the incident she had with Denise Del Soto yesterday. And here are a few of the riders, just 2 riders not finishing this race, Jessica Howden and Avalon Lewis, both in that middle group, crashing out in the middle stages of the race. Riders' Championship 9-point swing, 9-point gap now between Herrera and Nela. Sara Sanchez reclaims third in the championship after Ponziani took it in the Italian round. Pakicai Reef making ground as well, moving up into 6th position, and further movement further downfield, Natalia Rivera with her first top 10 finish in the class, moving up 1 position ahead of Lucy Michelle. So that is it from Donington Park. The FIM Women's Circuit Racing World Championship will be back in action in less than 2 weeks' time. It will be a very first visit to the Donington Park circuit in Hungary. Join us then.